The year is 2015. You've just seen M. Night Shyamalan's new movie, The Visit, and think, this was a good movie. This was a good year of horror. Forgetting, of course, The Gallows, Demonic, Sinister 2, Insidious Chapter 3, The Lazarus Effect, The Poltergeist remake, the crappy Keanu Reeves horror movie, Paranormal Activity: The Ghost Dimension, and Unfriended.
Unfriended is a shitty movie.
In all seriousness, there was some great horror movies like Crimson Peak, Goodnight Mommy, Intruders. No, not the Miranda Cosgrove one, The Vitch. But one movie stands above them all. Robert. Robert is a horror film that makes me hate myself more than Anakin hates Obi-Wan for making him have to park his spaceship in handicapped parking. It's the type of movie that you hate, but also the type of movie that you want to watch with friends. I had the pleasure of watching it with Savannah, Tim, Austin Michael, Maureen, and the cutest one-year-old human wrecking ball that is Joey. Before you ask, no. Joey did not watch, but instead would take other movies and swing them ferociously at Austin Michael. And he says he wants another one. Anyways, we watched this prank invasion tier acting of a movie, so let's just start talking about it. The movie starts off with a warning saying that the film is based off of real events and how the doll is pure evil. Good thing we have Florida on the case taking care of it. We start the movie with a terrible musical score, which honestly, this movie's soundtrack rivals Mom and Dad. I still don't like you, Mr. Bell. We're introduced to a husband and wife who will be a little more important later on in the movie, and Agatha. She's performing the role of housemaid who is also a secret sorcerer. We find out that strange demonic occurrences are happening in the couple's house and that it's being caused by a doll, where we see Robert for the first time. Oh, don't worry, we get to see this beautiful face throughout the whole movie, so I hope you enjoy that. We are then introduced to two of the three main characters in the movie, Jenny and Jean, her son. And look who shows up! Agatha, and apparently, she's looking for the dustpan and brush as well as her acting skills.
Everything okay?
I'm looking for the dustpan and brush.
It's in the cupboard? Sorry.
Oh, and there's our best actor in the movie, Paul. He's Jenny's loyal husband who is also pretty sexist, but let's not get too far ahead. Apparently, Agatha is starting to forget where everything is, so Jenny wants to fire her. She asks Paul to do it, but he says he can't because he has a big meeting, so Jenny will have to do it.
Agatha?
Oh my god, why was that there? Or necessary? You don't add anything to a movie with just adding creepy sound effects. Like, I could do that. Watch. See? Not scary. Anyways, Sorcerer's Apprentice Agatha is just cleaning the table. Jenny fires her, and then we move to a clip of Agatha looking at Robert crying. Cool. Paul comes home, and Jenny lets him know that dinner was ruined, and that she fired Agatha. She's upset since it made her anxious, and that it was freaking stressful.
I found that really...
You think that's stressful? Try living in a world with that bitch Rona. You sneeze once in Target and everyone thinks that you karate chopped your grandma. Jenny brings up that she wants Paul to make an effort to understand her and her illness, which we will be hearing a lot about her illness.
I just wish you'd make just a little bit more effort to understand my illness.
Paul makes dinner for the two of them, and we hear 20 seconds of just forks and knives scraping plates. Jenny and Paul make awkward conversation, kind of like conversation on a first date, as the camera only goes between 2 shots of each of them. They talk about her illness, and Paul promises her he will always support her.
Transition.
Agatha scares Jenny with the scare of the century. Honestly, I'm just happy that this movie decided not to have an ear rape noise with it. Agatha acts strange, and she wants to say goodbye to Jean. Agatha goes upstairs and gives Robert to Jean. Jean responds as a typical hetero male by saying dolls are for girls, but Agatha convinces Jean that Robert is special and will protect him. Jean is still a little concerned and says that Robert is clapped, which Agatha responds saying not to be mean to him, which Jean complies. Agatha leaves telling Jenny that she will be sorry. Jenny goes upstairs to Jean and holy I didn't know that Longneck was in this movie. Jean was right, he really is clapped. Someone alert the closest zoo and tell him that the giraffe escaped. Jean tells Jenny that Agatha gave him the doll and that Robert told him Jenny was mean to her. Jenny responds saying that she wasn't and that Agatha was getting senile, so she had to fire her. We have a transition change to Painted Nips, and Paul provides us with the second scare of the century. I love the fact that he really tickled himself with that one. Jenny tells Paul about Jean's new friend, and oh man, he does not get easier to look at. Whoever made him, great job of making him super ugly and not like an actual doll, you idiota. Paul is concerned that Jean is becoming girly and lets it be known to Jenny. This is where we see the sexist side of Paul, which is absolutely fantastic, and a great shade on him. We find out Jenny's illness involves hearing voices, and Paul worries Jean might be since he said Robert spoke to him. Finally, Robert, that little conniving trickster, creates confusion.
I'll create some confusion with this.
By running around the house and leaving a trail of footprints with sugar. Jenny suspects it's Jean. This scene is the first time we hear this awful piano score, which we will hear multiple times throughout the movie, which is fantastic. I can honestly recreate it without sheet music. Jenny confronts Jean, but he says it was Robert, which Jenny doesn't believe. If she would have looked at Robert the night before, she would have seen the sugar still on his feet. They show you the sugar on his feet. But we're already on the next night, where Robert decides to follow Jenny, which is portrayed by a camera about 4 inches off the ground, and he destroys Jenny's painting. Jenny sees footprints again, but this time it's in red paint, which... Did Robert decide to just walk in paint to make a trail? Like, I love the fact that Robert put sugar on his feet the first night and ran around. And then the next night, decides to put red paint on his feet and then run around. And Jenny doesn't know who it is and thinks that it's Jean, when Jean is just laying in bed, fake sleeping. And there's red paint on Robert's feet. But she never looks, and it's just like, Jean, it was fucking you! You fucking did it! And the next question I have is, how does Robert get the paint and sugar off of his feet? I mean, I know the sugar is probably easier, you just had to like, maybe get like a tissue or some water and like, rub it off, but paint? That would definitely stain the doll. But somehow, no, it's gone. The red paint's gone the next day. I mean, Robert really is great at cleaning, which... I think that's a good thing to know, that this might be his future profession, a professional cleaner. Anyways, Paul comes in and is able to calm Jenny, and after she leaves, asks Jean if he did it, and he says no because, as we already know, he didn't. So later on that night, Jenny hears 2 voices coming from Jean's room, but when she goes in, there is only Jean talking to Robert. I wonder who it is talking. Definitely not Robert, the puppet. Or doll, whatever the hell he is. He's not a puppy, he's a doll. I don't know why I said puppet. The next day, we're introduced to Martha, who is the new housekeeper. Martha sees Robert and thinks, man, he's clapped. By doing that, she has asked for death and has to go one-on-one with the Undertaker. She's harassed by the doll for a bit before Robert decides to end it by smacking her booty, causing her to fall down the stairs. I absolutely love the little hand that smacks her butt and how strange she falls down the stairs. Like, he didn't even push her, he just wanted to tap that booty. Honestly, Robert, respect, bro. Jenny comes home and sees Martha with a huge cut on her head now, and blood everywhere. Jenny calls the police and just says, yeah, ambulance please. That was a really bad recreation of that. I am very sorry to everybody watching.
Look, don't move. Yeah, ambulance, please. Yeah. What? I don't know. Okay. Hold on.
Love the details, Jenny. Martha tells Jenny, as she's dying on the floor after getting pushed down the stairs, that Robert was the one who did it. As if we didn't know. Jenny is stressed out and tells Paul what Martha said to her. Paul decides to take Jenny on a date to help de-stress her. Jenny is skeptical but accepts. They hire Marcy, one of their neighbor's kids, to look after Jean while they go on the date. Jenny can't find her lipstick, but... oh. That's not very nice. She goes to Jean's room where Robert is holding the lipstick. She gets the lipstick and asks Jean, who just walked in, if he took her lipstick. He responds hell no, cause he ain't no girl. She brings Paul to the bedroom where the mirror is, where he tries to make a sly sex joke and gets absolutely denied. But the important thing is that the mirror is completely clear. So, you are telling me that Robert sprinted to the room to write "die" for Jenny to see, and then when Jenny went to get Paul, he sprinted back to the mirror and cleaned it. Does Robert just have Lysol wipes on deck that he like wiped his feet the first and second night, and then this night he just ran to the mirror and just wiped it down? I mean, honestly, he was ready for Rona more than everybody, because apparently he just has Lysol wipes and cleaning supplies on deck. You know what? Honestly, Robert, I respect it. You're smacking booty. You were ready for that whole Rona. I mean, respect the hustle. Paul calms her down and they go on their date. Marcy puts Jean to bed and then we see the worst depiction of being in a car. I mean, where is the blue light coming from? A glow stick? Jenny starts to suspect that Robert is the cause of all of this, but Paul thinks it's the voices in her head. They come home and the front door is wide open. They go into Jean's room where he obviously isn't sleeping. Again. And Jenny calls over to Marcy's house where we find out that...
What's wrong?
She's dead.
She's dead? When did she... I mean, I have no response, so let's let Paul respond exactly how we're probably all thinking.
What?
We then see Robert hilariously trying to kill her and chase her down the road to her house and kill her. I just love imagining seeing this doll sprinting down the street trying to kill Marcy, and of course she doesn't lock the door when she gets back and just lets him in. I mean, he probably was mad that the babysitter was flirting with Jean. I mean, him and Jean are in cahoots a little bit, which we will find out later, but honestly, I can't make up some of the stuff in this movie, and it's gonna get worse, so let's keep going over it. Paul sees that Jenny is upset and tells her to go to bed, to which she smacks him in the face. You can't make this movie up! Get his ugly ass off my screen right now. Jenny goes in and wakes up Jean and asks him what Robert says to him. Jean says that Robert says him and Jean are best friends, and that he sometimes says nasty things. He says that Robert doesn't like her or Paul, and that Robert pushed Martha down the stairs as well as got rid of Marcy. Jenny takes Robert into her bedroom and screams at the doll. I love this scene so much since this grown woman is just yelling, "Speak!" at this doll.
Speak!
Paul comes in and is like, "Hey, yo?" Jenny tells Paul how Robert is to blame for all of this and starts yelling at the doll again. Paul suggests calling her doctor to up her medication, so Jenny takes the doll out of the room and brings him into the storage shed. From here on out, we're going to be jumping around a lot, so just be ready. So here we go. The next day, Jenny goes to Agatha's house and gets jump scared by this really weird neighbor. The neighbor tells Jenny that Agatha is dead and asks why she's at Agatha's house. Jenny lies and says that she lent Agatha items and the neighbor lets her in the house. Back at home, Paul calls the doctor to talk about Jenny and Jean. Back at Agatha's house, Jenny discovers photos and the address of another family. We then go back to Paul, where the lock on the shed is broken and Robert is missing. Robert goes sprinting down the yard and back into the house. Jenny goes to the address and, oh, I know you. You were the terrible actor in the beginning. They go inside where Jenny brings up the doll, and Steven, that's his name, gets weird. He says how his wife became unwell because of the doll. We then see the wife, and she tells Jenny that she has to get rid of the doll. We move back to Paul, where Jean says goodbye to him since he knows what will be happening, which we will be seeing quite soon. We move back again to Jenny, where we get backstory that we don't need at all and don't care about, but let me try to explain what it is. So, there was a boy who drowned holding the doll, and from there got possessed and was handed around from cousin to cousin, and somehow the doll became locked in an attic, and Agatha found the doll one day when she moved into a house and then decided to experiment with the dark arts. And that's our backstory. Yeah, very interesting, right? After that, we find out that Robert gets possessive of little boys. Calm down, Jared from Subway. And that Jenny and Paul are in danger and have to destroy the doll. We then get the piano music we've heard all movie and see Paul get jumped by the doll in the funniest way. I just love that weak little hit and the splatter of blood that just goes all over the table. Jenny comes home and sees Paul knocked on the floor. Jenny goes to get Jean, and then we see Robert flexing them J's. Okay, Robert, I see you out here flexing them J's. Robert looks clean, I ain't even gonna lie. He's pretty clean, he's stylish, he's smacking booty. I mean, he's a certified pimp. Jenny has the awareness of a walnut and gets rolled up on by Robert. She does nothing and slides down the wall instead of running away as Robert is ready to hit a grand slam. I'm gonna just let what happens play out because it's gonna make me mad. So I'm sorry everyone if you're wearing headphones, but I'm gonna yell in 3, 2, and where the fuck did you come from, Paul? There's only one staircase and Robert was there, so why did you go up and around him to throw the knife instead of just stabbing him in the back? And Jenny, why didn't you Sparta kick his ass down the stairs?
This is Sparta!
I hate this movie so much, but Jean just unlocks the door and seems pretty disturbed by seeing Robert dead on the ground. But, as we could guess, which is the case in a lot of shitty horror movies, we're not done yet. So we go to 3 weeks later and see Jenny and Paul looking happy, and Paul's going to run a bath. Dramatic music plays and, oh great, we have the piano theme again. I also love the fact that you can see the cameraman in the mirror, since it just shows how little they cared at this point. I think you can assume what happened, so I'll just let it play out.
God, no.
Thank you, Andrew Jones, for this garbage piece of crap movie. So, I'm gonna give this movie a suck my nuts out of 10, and I don't recommend it unless you're gonna be watching it with friends. So thank you everyone for watching this episode of Troll Tuesday, and I hope you enjoyed this new style of video. I was just trying something out and thought it would be funny to do it for this movie, so let me know how you liked it. The next movie is going to be 13 Ghosts, so be on the lookout for that on Friday. But let's flash forward to the next review.